Dropkins' Voyage Around the World. Author, me. When trees were as tall as mountains and rivers as clear as glass, Dropkin, the tiny water drop, awoke. Europe, underground river, 1000 BCE. I sleepily looked around. My family and friends were playing tag between the stones. I quickly said good morning to my mom and rushed to join them. Here underground, hide and seek was twice as challenging because sunlight doesn't reach us. Fortunately, we had months ahead to practice. Africa, 1000 BCE. Suddenly, there was a bang, and everyone streaming into one mysterious opening on the top of our tunnel. The current was so strong and irresistible that all I could do was grab my friend's hands, close my eyes, and hold my breath. In a moment, I felt free and dared to look around. We were flying, and I saw the hole that freed all drops from the underground stream. With a loud splash, I dove into a shimmering river. As I traveled along with the flow, I saw dozens of different species of animals, tiny and huge, centenary forests and lushy grass valleys. One cloudless day, the sun was shining on me so hard that I evaporated. An amazing feeling of airness, so new and exciting. As I rose into the sky, everything underneath me became smaller and smaller, and I realized that I was leaving a triangle island of forest green color. I united with other mini clouds, and we sailed away with the wind from this continent. Antarctica, 1000 BCE. Later, we approached another parcel of land, but it was all white. Covered in snow, it looked like a puffy cloud. By this moment, I started to feel really heavy, realized that I couldn't stay high in the sky any longer, and started to fall. Surrounded by my friends, each one a unique crystal shape, we twirled down in a dance. We landed on the edge of an iceberg. Everything around lured me to sleep, and I closed my eyes. Somewhere in Asia nowadays. I awoke. All my snowflake friends were panicking, and I couldn't realize why. Suddenly, Clea, Rayleigh, and I dropped into the ocean, and a couple of minutes later, we evaporated again. But something was wrong. The sky had a brown tint to it and alarmed me. We had traveled for months, changing form dozens of times, from a cloud into rain and then into ocean currents. Finally, we plopped into what I can say was a river, as it wasn't salty. I swam up to the surface, intending to greet local inhabitants. But nobody was visible, only a hideous, lifeless structure was standing in the valley and dumping green goo into the river. Everybody frantically tried to dodge the passing goo, but it still stuck to us. To cheer up, I slid on the slick scales of a fish passing by, but realized that I had harmed it with the chemicals on me. It sadly sank to the bottom of the river. Traveling further, I noticed that the world had changed. There were less animals, but the population of two-legged creatures had skyrocketed. Many trees were replaced by stumps, and valleys were disfigured by giant structures. Trash was scattered everywhere, and I could feel chemicals in the water. I was devastated. What happened to the earth while I slept? Continuing on my journey, I experienced more transformations. One time, I was sucked up into a slimy green tube, where I became sugary and then evaporated. Being swept away by the wind, I caught a glimpse of the blue lotus, which homed me for a while. Another time, I was caught by two-legged creatures into a bucket. While carrying me and my friends, they talked. Just a few more buckets and our cornfield will be watered for the day. With those words, we got poured out onto the ground. Slowly trickling through the soil, we reached the ocean. "Dropkin, why are you green?" asked Clea. I looked at my hands and discovered that they were a dirty green color. I sighed. Chemicals in the soil. East Bay of Northern America nowadays. I was able to clean up in the ocean and continue my journey. It was relaxing and enjoyable, except for the trash islands, which were hard to ignore. I met new friends and they shared with me that the ocean had risen from the time that I was sleeping in the glacier. It happened because the two-legged creatures are heating the earth and the ice is melting. One stormy day, we climbed onto the very tip of a huge wave, aiming at shore with a two-legged creature village. The wave furiously flung us against one house, destroying its wall. I plopped onto the wooden floor and noticed that the two-legged creatures were fleeing in a panic. Arctic nowadays. Again, we were traveling in the wide ocean. Fast currents were taking us to colder waters. This time, Clea, Rayleigh, and I were silent. I was reflecting about the destroyed house and rising ocean, pollution, and self-destructive two-legged creatures. Soon we saw a glacier, a different one than last time. We rose up to the surface and admired the glistening ice. Once again we stuck to it. Once again I fell asleep. I dreamed about how beautiful the world would be if the two-legged creatures stopped dumping gunk in rivers, using chemicals, and destroying wildlife. Then the world would be calm and peaceful again. Author, me.